Boston Celtics win by 40 points. But where does that get them in the standings? What's their magic number? I'm going to explain all that. Plus, Grant Williams got his groove back. That's super important. And Robert Williams talked about his surgery. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Thank you for making this show your first listen every day and part of your daily routine, Monday through Friday. This show is free, daily, and fresh for you, costs you nothing. You can find it everywhere podcasts exist. It's also on YouTube. You can watch the show on YouTube and subscribe there. That'd be great. We're getting close to 4,800. I want that 5,000 subscribers by the beginning of the playoffs. We've got a couple of weeks. It's going to be tough. Today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Boston Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a book called The Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars. I was one of the media voters for the Boston Celtics 75th anniversary team. That was fun. The Boston Celtics are coming off a 144-102 win over the Washington Wizards, 144-102. This game got out of control in a hurry. So it starts out well enough. The Celtics, build their lead. Second quarter, they can't pull away. Ish Smith goes nuts in the second quarter, as Ish Smith is wont to do against the Boston Celtics. Perfect 4 for 4, 8 points in that fourth quarter. Kristaps Porzingis hits a couple of threes in that fourth quarter. The Celtics are outscored in that fourth quarter, 37-35. We're like, okay, great. Here comes Boston giving up 30-plus point quarters. But then the second half happened. Celtics start out 7-1 before a timeout. It's a 13-3 run, an extended 13-3 run. And then it just got crazy. It was a 20-point game, and then all of a sudden you blink and it's, this is a 30-point game. And then all of a sudden, this is a 40-point game. And Payton Pritchard is just still going. And this could be a 50-point game before it's all said and done. Celtics outscored the Wizards 74-43 in the second half. So that was easy. The Celtics wrap up their home schedule. No more home games this regular season. Next home game will probably be in August 16th, where they host a playoff game. There's only the magic number to clinch a top 4 seed, at least the 4th seed, is now 1. So they are now, let's look at the standings real quick, because just to get you up to date, Milwaukee lost, Philly won, Miami won. So the standings are now Miami in first, Boston 2 games back, Milwaukee and Philadelphia 2.5 games back. Chicago and Toronto are tied for the fifth, 5.5 games back. So, and they are at 78 games. So they have 4 games to go. The Celtics have 3 games to go. So the next win by the Celtics clinches no worse than the 4th seed. Also a loss by the Bulls or the Raptors. I might have tweeted out it was Cleveland, but it's the Bulls or the Raptors. If one of those teams loses, then they get no better than 5th. If both these teams lose, they basically have to win out. The Celtics have to lose out the rest. So 4th, they're going to finish somewhere 2, 3, 4. Miami up 2 games with 3 games to play. They'd have to lose out. The Celtics will have to win out. And Miami's just got too many patsies on the schedule. So this was their chance, and Boston, by virtue of losing to Miami the other night, this is fine. So let's look at this real quick here. The Celtics, if they get the 2 seed, they will be in the 2-7 game. This could be a real rough go for the Celtics in the playoffs. You look at the bottom half of this. Charlotte and Brooklyn are tied at 40 and 38, and they are tied for 9th. Cleveland and Atlanta are 7 and 8. So they would have to play right now in the play-in, and the winner gets the 7th seed, which would be Boston's opponent in the first round. So currently, it could be Cleveland or Atlanta, which is fine. Celtics can beat either of those teams. They've done it before. But it's still not decided yet. So you got to watch Brooklyn really close. Brooklyn could theoretically climb into that 7-8 game and win, and Boston would play Brooklyn in the first round. And then if things hold and Milwaukee gets, let's say, the 3rd seed, if Milwaukee gets 3rd, then the Celtics would face Milwaukee in the 2nd round. So you have a possibility right now of Boston sticking in 2nd and having, by fighting all the way back to getting to the 2nd seed, Boston's path being Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and the Eastern Conference Finals, whoever that's going to be, Miami, Philly, whoever. Tough road, really potentially tough road for the Celtics. Still a lot to figure out as the Celtics move forward. Next game is Wednesday against Chicago, and then Thursday against Milwaukee. A thing to watch for here is, when do the Celtics rest guys? There's a back-to-back, but Thursday Milwaukee TNT game, the NBA frowns on resting guys during these national TV games. So if the Celtics are going to rest somebody or multiple people, it's probably going to be against the Chicago Bulls. And then they'll go and play Milwaukee for real on Thursday night. And then the winner of that game is probably going to get the 2 seed. So I don't know how that's going to work out. if Giannis is going to play or the whole game, or how is a coach who wants to fall to 3rd or 4th going to play this? And so, is Giannis going to suddenly get back spasms at halftime and something like, I don't know, but that's how this week is going to go. And then next week, Sunday, the final game of the season is going to be Celtics Grizzlies at 7:00 on Sunday. That was originally TBD. That's going to be a 7 p.m. game. We will know. Bucks and Brooklyn will play earlier in the day, so we'll know everything we need to know at that point when the Celtics face the Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies don't have anything to play for. They're locked into the 2 seed. They're completely locked into the 2 seed. They're fine. They've clinched their division. They're 5 games up on the Warriors. They're 7 games behind the Suns. This is going to be a big week. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So Jaylen Brown was awesome in this game and led the Celtics. He had a big first quarter as usual. Then he finished the game strong. I will talk about the game in whole over the next couple of segments. Later on, I'll get to Robert Williams because Robert Williams talked over the weekend, and that was interesting to hear him talk there. I'll fold in some of the other game where the Celtics barely beat the Indiana Pacers. So that's all coming up. But first, let me talk to you about Built Bar. Built Bar is awesome. It's a protein bar. It tastes like a candy bar. You've heard me talk about it. If you haven't tried one by now, I don't know how I can convince you, but I'm going to try because they are delicious. They are low calorie, 130 calories. It's a great snack. Think about how many calories you're getting in some of the other snacks that you're eating. If you're a snacker, if you're a candy bar lover, think about how many calories you can knock off by having a Built Bar instead of a chocolate bar. Just that alone. And trust me, these taste good enough to make you think, oh wow, I don't need to eat a chocolate bar. These do the trick. Now, if you are going to the gym, if you're trying to lose some weight, you want to add some protein to your diet to fuel the muscles that you're building, this is great because there's 17 grams of protein there as well. And there's not a lot of sugar or anything like that. So go to built.com, check it out. You're going to scroll over each one. You're going to see the nutrition facts. You can see all of their other products like Built Puffs, which is like a protein infused marshmallow. Some of the other, powders and other protein infused products that they have over there. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCK15. It works every single time. So you don't have to worry about wasting the promo code. You use it, LOCK15, 15% off every single order, every single time to save you some money over there at built.com. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. How about making Locked On NBA your second listen every day? Locked On NBA, hosted by me and Jake Madison on Wednesdays. It's a rotating set of hosts. So check it out. Locked On NBA. Great in-depth analysis of not just the games, but the bigger stories. This is going to be a huge week. There's no NBA on Monday. So Tuesday, Jake and I have like every team is in action for the most part, except the Celtics on Tuesday. So we will give you all the latest playoff implications of each game, each win, each loss. It's going to be a huge week in the NBA for that. So check out Locked On NBA. Boston Celtics, like I said, just destroyed the Washington Wizards. Jaylen Brown is on a roll, a certified roll. Listen to his splits from his three-point shooting. So he's at 36% this season. Over his last 20 games, 40.7%. Over his last 15, 40.9%. Last 10, 47.5%. Last 5, 56.7% from three for Jaylen Brown. He is hitting everything. And then in the last 5 games, he's also averaging 5 assists. So all of these Jaylen Brown doesn't pass type of criticisms, that's no longer really the case. And people want to still rely on that and lean on that as a criticism of Jaylen Brown. And sometimes, yeah, he does put his head down and go. And he doesn't make every right pass, but not every player makes every right pass. Only a few do. So Jaylen has been working on his game. He's figuring it out. And the fact that he's been up to those 5 assists per game in this recent stretch is evidence that Jaylen is starting to kind of progress. He's progressing too. It's not just Jayson Tatum. It is Jaylen Brown. And we should, I think it's worth noting that Jaylen has been dishing pretty well. He had 5 assists in this game, 32.7 rebounds, 5 assists in just 28 and a half minutes. He shot 12 of 17, including a couple of shots. One lefty finish where he sits there and he's like looking at his left hand. And then one kind of like pivot. You know what? I'm just going to take this fade away. And he hits the shot. I mean, he was hitting everything, 4 or 5 from 3, 4 or 4 from the line. Just a great overall game for Jaylen Brown and a team high plus 36. He started out the game with 13 points in the first quarter. First quarter, Jaylen in full effect. And then he just kept it going from there. In the third quarter, he, stepped up again. And it's almost like he thought it was the first quarter again. 10 points in the third quarter with 2 assists and 2 rebounds. Got that ball really moving, where the Celtics outscored the Wizards by 14 in that third quarter. And then in the start of the fourth quarter, same thing. And really that was the early garbage time. So they got that lead up to 30 and it was like, oh, well, hell, let's just sit everybody. And look, Jayson Tatum, 29 minutes, Horford, 29 and a half. Everybody played less than 30 minutes. So that was really good. The other big name, like Jayson, look, let me just run through Tatum real quick. He had a good game, 22.7 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, a block. He didn't play in the fourth quarter. I thought for a minute there he was going to get a triple-double, but then in the second quarter when he was on the floor, Washington couldn't miss. That cost him a lot of rebounds. And he probably could have gotten 3 more assists if he got a few more minutes. So, but he had a good game. Not much to speak of, though. It's just, a good Jayson Tatum game. Grant Williams is the other big story. It's Grant, Payton, and Derrick. So those three combined for 11 of 16 from three. Grant Williams was 4 of 5. Payton Pritchard was 4 of 7. Derrick White was 3 of 3. And at one point it was 11 of 12 that they had made. Garbage time changed everything. The Celtics bench made 15 3-pointers, which is a team record. That's nice. It was good to see Aaron Nesmith hit 3 of 4 from 3. I think this is a big deal. Like this, I don't want to overreact, but I've said this on the podcast before. Grant had been struggling, shot 31% in March. Look, Payton Pritchard is going to shoot. He's going to hit shots. If he gets enough time and it gets enough shots, they're going to fall. So he goes for 4 of 7. That's nice. Derrick White goes 3 of 3. That's great. He's not always going to hit his 3-pointers, but he does enough where, look, he also had 5 rebounds and 3 assists. And, I think that he's going to do a lot of the things that Boston wants, whether he hits his threes or not. Obviously you want a guy to hit his threes, but if he was 0 of 3 from 3, he still would have had a positive impact in this game. So Derrick White's going to figure out another way to help the Celtics offensively. Grant is the spot up guy. Grant is the guy that is catch and shoot guy. So he's not creating a lot of his own offense. Yeah, he's going to attack closeouts. And so there's a level of creation there, but you're not giving the ball to Grant and saying, go create a shot for yourself. He is either catching and shooting or up faking the guy that's charging at him and closing out and driving that. And like he did in the first quarter, drive, dunk, drive, layup, something like that, or drive and dish, finding guys. Like he's getting better at finding guys. So that's Grant's offense. That's all the Celtics want. That's all the Celtics need. And that's the best thing that he can do. Yeah, you can dump it to him in the post every once in a while. He was a good post-up player in college. He knows his way around the post. I always appreciate a good post player. But Grant is the spot-up guy. And for him to catch and shoot and get 4 or 5 from 3 in this game, just good to get that shot back and to get a little confidence back. And moving forward, the Celtics are going to need this from Grant. And let's fold in Aaron Nesmith here. Nesmith, 3 of 4, starting to find his shot a little bit. I don't think he's going to get playoff rotation minutes, but if he can find this over the next few games, because he will get opportunities over the next few games, if he can find a little bit of consistency in that 3-point shot, then you have at least, Ime's got at least this thought of, well, maybe I have an ace in the hole. Maybe I have a guy that I can turn to if somebody gets hurt, steps on a foot, turns an ankle, one of those, foot on the landing spot fouls and somebody turns an ankle, or foul trouble, or somebody mouths off and gets an ejection, or whatever. That level of comfort that Ime has, if Aaron Nesmith is available and is hitting these shots, that would be just huge. I think it would just be huge. Good to see Grant get going. Good to see Nesmith get going. Derrick White was great. Payton Pritchard was great. Everybody was banging from 3. The Celtics were 23 of 44. They had 39 assists on 56 baskets. Ball was moving. Fun all the way around. Nice developments for Grant Williams and Aaron Nesmith. Now let's see. Got a couple of days off, and let's see what happens in Chicago. Celtics played against the Indiana Pacers. They won on Friday. I'll talk a little bit about that next. And then Robert Williams spoke on Saturday about his surgery. That's all coming up next after I talk to you about BetOnline, #1 source for all your betting needs and sports information. Championship game Monday. This is why there's no NBA. NCAA championship game Monday night. Who you got? Kansas or North Carolina? Well, head on over to BetOnline and you can see what the latest odds are. There's Masters championships. There's a lot going on in sports right now. This is a great time of year. Head on over, use your mobile device, head on over to the website. You can learn more about the trends, the action, everything you need to know, live betting, favorite Vegas casino games. It's all there at BetOnline. Where the game starts, please gamble responsibly. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. How about making one of the other Boston sports podcasts your second listen? We got Locked On Red Sox, Bruins, Patriots, lots of interesting stuff happening with all three of those teams. So make sure that you are caught up there with everything you need to know. Same thing as the Locked On Celtics podcast. Great information, great personality, fun podcast to listen to, and it has all your Boston sports covered. So check out Locked On Red Sox, Bruins, and Patriots, wherever you get your podcast, wherever you got this podcast. Quickly, Celtics beat the Indiana Pacers on Friday, 128-123. It was not a pretty game. The Celtics did not shoot particularly well from deep. 12 of 33, 36%. Wasn't that bad, but they let the Pacers really just bury a ton of shots, 17 of 36 from three. This was a tight game. They won, but after the game, we were talking about it like it was a loss. Lots to criticize there. I really felt like the way I compared it is if you've ever had one of those spring cleaning, like the house is a mess, right? And you just decided on a Saturday to say, all right, or a Sunday, whatever, and say, you know what? I'm cleaning this whole damn house, top to bottom. And you start in the morning, you're motivated. This is like the Celtics in January. And you're just cleaning all day long. You're going. You're in a groove. You get your headphones on. You're bopping. Maybe you're listening to Locked On Celtics. You're cleaning. You're in a groove. You get down on the bottom of the house. You're right there. You're kind of almost done. And then you say, you know what? I'm going to take a break. And the Toronto Raptors game was when they took a break. They sat everybody down. Marcus Smart took a million shots. Everything went a little bit haywire. And when you take that break, when you've been working all day, how eager are you to get up? Not eager at all. All of a sudden, you're like, geez, my feet feel like they're swollen. Man, I got to take these shoes off. Oh, God. I still got the kitchen to do. I still got the bathroom to do. It's tough. All you want to do is crack a beer and sit down and turn on TV. You've done all you need to do. There's only a little bit left. And you're like, come on. I don't want to do this. Celtics took a little bit of a break. And the Indiana Pacers was part of that break. Toronto was tough. They lost to the Miami Heat. That was tough. They couldn't get themselves together. And then the Pacers game, they pulled it out. They figured it out. That's great. But it took them a little while to get going. Now I think they're okay. They're up off the couch. Put the gloves on again. They're ready to scrub a toilet and finish this thing off and head into the playoffs. But I think the Pacers game, I thought they were tired. The energy was not there. Marcus Smart said the energy wasn't there. The communication has been bad for the Celtics, Ime said. But they got through it. So that's the only thing I really want to say about the Indiana Pacers game is because I just feel like that was just such a low energy game against the Pacers. They did get big games from Jaylen and Jayson again. They combined for 63. They each scored 30 again. I think that's their 8th time doing it, and that's twice as many as Kevin McHale and Larry Bird have ever done it. And they did it this season. So that's like in the same game. Like that's crazy. So that was great. Daniel Tice did a decent job kind of covering for Robert Williams. Like Adam Himmelsbach of the Globe called him Fake Rob, which is, it was good. He, caught a couple of lobs, but finished one as a layup and, he did a good job, but obviously wasn't Rob. So instead of a dunk, it's a layup and blocked the shot. He did a fine job. I think Daniel Tice is doing a fine job. He's figuring it out, but you can see he's not getting to certain plays. Teams don't fear going to the rim. He's He can block shots, but he's not really a fierce rim protector. So Celtics are still kind of adjusting and figuring that out. Got to be a little bit more swarming. And Marcus after the game, he's like, we got to play a little bit different without Rob. We just got to play a little bit different. Can't just rely on somebody back there to clean up the mistakes. Just a little. So I think they know what's going on. I think they're clear with that message. Rob, meanwhile, on Saturday spoke about his surgery, and I'm going to tell you, it feels good, seems good. Best case scenario here. It seems like he's, itching to go. He's been in the practice facility. He's been rehabbing. He's already started. He's around. He's been slowly it looks like he's walking on his own. He seems fine. He said the pain when it happened, he didn't know exactly when it happened. Talked about the play. When I watched the play, it was guarding Taurean Prince. Couldn't really tell that anything happened. And when you hear Brad Stevens talk about, it seemed like just a little flap, like the tear was minor. And that's why they said, yeah, we'll just cut that out because there's no reason to repair that. If it was a big major tear, you had no choice but to repair it. Like that's a serious thing. A little, if it is exactly what Brad Stevens characterized it as, a little flap, then cutting it out, shaving it down, recontouring it should be fine. So the initial 4 to 6 weeks was the diagnosis. Celtics and Rob, they're not saying anything about timelines. I said this on the podcast, I think last week. Woj talked about it and said, could be less. And so if we're looking at maybe 3 to 4 weeks, potentially, the thing with the meniscus is it's not a tendon. So there's not like scarring on it. It's not a muscle where there's scar tissue in there. It's not like Jaylen Brown, when he's trying to come back too early from a hamstring, you're going to re-injure it. This isn't a re-injury type of thing. Now, I'm not saying he can't go out and tear his meniscus in the next game. That would be I think, a separate type of thing. I don't think there's any real kind of risk of re-injuring that particular thing. It's just cartilage. It's just cartilage in the knee. And it's not a structural, like a ligament or a tendon or something like that, where when it heals, it scars over and you got to get, work your way through that stuff. So Rob's in good spirits. He is not afraid of his burst not coming back. I think some people want to think that if he comes back too soon, he's not going to have his athleticism. I think that's absolutely incorrect because, again, it doesn't impact what saps your athleticism. Pain is 1. 2, your body hasn't rebuilt the strength in the knee to do what it used to do. He's going through the rehab to go through that healing process of the surgery and strengthen the knee back up, strengthen the muscles around it back up. Once that's all set, he's fine. He's fine. So as long as he's pain-free and as long as the rehab goes well and the muscles are still strong around the knee, then he'll be fine. No change in his athleticism. He's going to look like Robert Williams. He's just going to go out there and be Robert Williams again. So I'm not worried. That's the one thing. I am not worried at all about Robert Williams. It's the absolute best case scenario. I could be wrong about some of this stuff, or I'm not saying he's never going to go out and get hurt again, but he's got a lot of trust in the Celtics staff. He's said that his long-term health is their number one goal. They're not going to do anything that puts him in harm's way. Everybody understands that. Everybody's on the same page. So hearing Rob talk, he's fine. He said, he was worried at the beginning that he wasn't going to be able to, that the injury was going to be something that he can't play with. He said that he was, it started to hurt more and more and more. He was going to take himself out of the game, but he got subbed out anyway. But then after the surgery, he says, I was kind of amazed at how quickly, it felt better. Like it really felt a lot better. That pain is gone. So great news all around for Robert Williams. Great news for the Celtics. and we'll see moving forward. Again, no Monday night NBA. So I'll get Tom Westerholm on the show tomorrow. We'll kind of revisit some of this stuff from the game and get a different take on what we see moving forward. And then big week ahead, big week ahead for the Celtics, for the NBA. We're going to start getting a real clear picture of the potential opponents here: Chicago and Toronto, and Cleveland, Atlanta, Charlotte, Brooklyn. There's so many different possibilities here. So stick around. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're new and you're still here and you're still listening, then subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Would love to get you subscribed so you get this show dropped to your device daily. Whenever it drops, it goes right to your device. YouTube, subscribe, hit that little bell so you know when the new show comes on. Make sure you're commenting. Make sure you're liking the videos as well. Feed the algorithm so we can push these videos out. I'm sorry, it's not about the quality of the show, which I hope is good, but it's just about feeding that algorithm. So the more you like, the more you comment, the more you push that out there, I would really help. It would really help. And also, it would help if you share the podcast, tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody. They should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network.